think the more you try to shame a man into dating a single mother, the more you actually stigmatize the act of dating single mothers.
Single mothers have unfinished business. And if you step into that situation, you are agreeing to step into helping them with their unfinished business before your business can even start.
A man who respects himself, who values himself, is going to find a woman that meets or edifies his value in himself.
If you have a value add that offsets the kids you're coming with, okay, cool.
Well, apparently, I saw this clip. It was his brother from probably maybe a couple seasons ago on some Black People Love show on OWN. And I guess what was funny to me was that this brother was saying, hey, he came from a single mom. And, you know, the woman that I guess he might not have chosen because she's on the other side of the couch with some other nigga was like, hey, remember when you said this about me? And they were trying to shame this brother for saying, hey, you came from a single mom. Why are you shaming that? Because I guess he felt like he was doing a lot better in his life and he shouldn't have to settle, right, for a single mother. Now, I know that's a loaded way for to say that, but is he wrong? Like, if we're talking about dating and having options, if you are top of the food chain, if you're a high value man, shout out to Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, does that man have to settle? Because the reason why I'm saying it this way, the women on the show were shaming him to make it seem like he did have to choose because somehow he didn't love his mama, or because you came from a married, you know, a single mom, why wouldn't you? So it's one thing to have your choice, your opinion, but they were making it seem like he should, or, you know, should date a single mom or put them on par with another woman who may not have kids. So what are your thoughts about that? Is he, you know, wrong or no?
I'll go ahead and jump in here. So I'm actually of both minds on this. And so you guys probably hate this because I already said I'm going to be flippity, floppity, floppity, flip. So this is what I'm going to start off with.
Oh, that's new for you, S&M. I've never seen that before. Not you straddling the fence and not taking bold takes.
So, well, it depends on how you look at this by the time I finish.
Okay.
So first, I want to start off by saying this. I think that he's well within his right not to settle, right? If he feel like he has these options, then let him have his options. If that's his preference, then that's his preference. Because if he do decide to settle, will it lead to resentment later on to the partner that he settled with because she had a mother? Because she's a single mother, would it also lead to him perhaps resenting that child eventually because he didn't want to be with a single mother? But more importantly, he has options. I think we should stop shaming people for their preference, right? I think that at some point we got to say, hey, because there's more women now that are saying that they don't want to deal with a man who has children too now. There's your preference shouldn't equate to being admonished or shamed or whatnot, especially if it's coming from a genuine place. Now, if the fact that he came from a single mother, is there a thing called, I don't want to continue the cycle? Can I break the cycle? Right? Do I have to? And someone can argue like, yes, he's breaking the cycle because he's going to get with a single mother and therefore make that family unit whole. And so on that part of it, I'm just going to say, I think the women were wrong for trying to shame him. As a matter of fact, I think the more you try to shame a man into dating a single mother, the more you actually stigmatize the act of dating single mothers. I think that we take a time to step back and say, you know what? Let this man have his preference, then single mothers may get some bail because it's like, oh, you know what? They stopped shaming him for not wanting somebody who already had a kid because there's already been cases and studies that show that stepfathers don't necessarily fare well in certain relationships, right? Depending on the dynamic with that mother. And so it's like, I'm going to have to go there. On the other side of the fence, though, I don't see why he wouldn't want to date a single mother, right? And I say this because single mothers have already proven that they have leadership skills. Now, they may not have other skills, such as the skills to, now I won't even say that because that's going to be a little more toxic than I want it to be. So I'm just going to put it this way. They're already running a household. They're already managing the schedule. They're already budgeting. They're already nurturing. They're already protecting their child. So technically that's real world leadership and not leadership in theory. So if you're looking for somebody as a high value man or any man, and you're looking for somebody to help build with, wouldn't this be the type of traits that you would want in that person? Somebody who already has proven leadership style, somebody who has already proven that she has the ability to be a nurturer because you want to nurture your relationship as well. And then I also think that it shows that women are handling their responsibility because we often say that we want women to be accountable. Well, you can't be more accountable than being a single mother unless you're a deadbeat single mother, in which case they need, I'm going to leave that there because we're going to keep trying to be positive on this part. And so ultimately, I think that single mothers will understand the whole capability of sacrifice and commitment, right? Because they're already committed to that child. and they're already committed to the idea of sacrifice. So if you, let's say as a businessman, for an example, and you're in the process of building your business, then she's more likely to relate to the fact that you may have to sacrifice your time while she's building that business or while you're building that business so that they can prosper or that he can prosper. She's more likely to play her role because she already knows what her role is. She already understands sacrifice. She already understands commitment. She already understands what allotment is, allotment of time. She already understands that type of scheduling. And more importantly, they ain't gonna play with your time. You know why? Because they ain't got no time. You know where their time at? Spending with their child. And if you need time, so basically what I'm saying is, because some people say that's actually a con as well, because you don't have time per se. But if you're in the process of building your empire, then that may be okay, because now you don't have to worry about her complaining that you're not spending no time with me, because she already preoccupied. She already got somebody occupying her time so that you don't have to get that shade from not spending time with her. I just think that there's other attributes that can be looked at if a man want a single mother. I don't think there's a single, it should be like, oh, she's not worthwhile, that she's not of value, because she is of value regardless. And having this real life experience by being a single mother actually shows how much value she brings to the table. And on top of that, you know, nowadays they're claiming that our fertility rates are going down more so in other communities than our communities. And so she's already has a proven track record of being fertile if you want some kids, because she already shown that she's fertile as well. I just think that there's lots of opportunities with single mothers, but at the end of the day, it's still his preference, and we need to respect that.
I'm gonna come on in and say, listen, the man is 100% right. Now, first, in full disclosure, I grew up in a single parent household. My parents got divorced shortly after I was born, right? Saw my daddy during the summers and stuff, whatever. But now that doesn't mean that I should go out and get a single parent. There's lots of reasons why that may not be a good move for him. If you are, first off, I've said it before, single mothers have unfinished business. Okay. And if you step into that situation, you are agreeing to step into helping them with their unfinished business before your business can even start. Right. Plus, you're coming in to publish a book that's already been written. The best you can hope is a footnote, particularly if the child is older. Right now, you got to deal with systems in place and habits that they have that you might not agree with. They might not align with you, but this is the way this woman, as S&M said, has been leading her house. Right. And so unless she's willing to change it up and let you come in and shake it up and make it right, you are going into a problematic situation that you didn't have to go into. I think he probably said it because he probably did. Because growing up in a home with a single parent, he was like, shoot, I know my mama had have brought this Negro around. I would have given him hell. He wouldn't have told me nothing. He ain't my daddy. He ain't this, he ain't that. He's like, he doesn't want that for himself. Are there people out there who are checking for single moms? Yes, there are. I know a guy who likes starter families, right? He likes single moms. He likes to come in when the kids are already there. He wants to be a dad. He wants to be impactful. He wants to change lives. He has yet to successfully do that, okay? He is running into the problems that I've expressed to you time and time again. So it may be something to that, right? Single moms, look, you're worthy, you're beautiful. Clearly somebody thought that you was really that because they took the time to get you pregnant. You know what I mean? Now, what happened after that is a whole nother story. I won't get into it. But yeah, you have value, but you also have baggage. Okay? And it's okay for somebody to say, listen, my trunk can't hold all your baggage. That's okay, right? He has that right. He's moved in a way that does not require him to pick up something that he feels like is not good for him or is too much for him. And I think that for men to sit on the front end is wise, rather than being in a Captain Save-A-Hoe. And now you out here, and I'm not calling single moms hoes. I'm just saying most of the men who go after single moms are Captain Save-A-Hoes, or they want the instant family, the add water family. Right? They out here trying to make somebody's life different and turn it around and change it and be this good guy, this white knight. And guess what, sir? You will die on your sword 9 times out of 10. No, I get it. Don't press that man because he didn't want that. There are other people out there who probably do want that, but he's not one. And it's fair for and right and just for him not to want that, because there's a lot more to it. It's not just you. It's you and your child. What if your child is poorly raised? What if your child got a smart mouth? Right? What if you and your child got these systems in place in your house that don't work for him, right? Yeah, maybe the kids that haven't learned to do any chores. You do all the chores. Now you got him in there like, I need you to help me with the dishes. Hell no. Because when I was growing up, my mom had the kids helping out. You need to teach your kids better. Now it's all kinds of problems. So no, get that man some bail. Go ahead, Devin.
You know, what I like to do when this comes up, I like to ask the pro single mother delegation, how would you feel if it was your son because I always get a different answer when I say, okay, well, listen, let's say your son became an attorney, he made partners. Like, yeah, mom, I made partner and I just met this lady and she's really nice and I like her and she's got 3 kids by 3 different dudes. Now that's a problem. So that's how I catch those folks, you know, being in their BS because it's great for everybody else, but not my son. He's different. He's special. So that's why like we got to stop the cap. And listen, it's okay. Listen, if you have a value add that offsets the kids you're coming with, okay, cool. You might say, listen, I know I have a child already, but I'm super agreeable, or my body doesn't have a pore or a muscle, or I'm snatched out, if nothing's out of place, or say, hey, listen, I know I'm a single mother, and guess what? You've become such a high value man. You can have additional single mothers. See, you talked about opportunity. There's an opportunity. I just pointed one out. So if you're going to come with a kid in tow, ladies, what's the value add? I think that's not the question being, and just you saying, well, I'm the value add, that's not going to work because men inherently do want to start their own family most of the time. That's okay. But if you're going to come from that angle, you got to ask, what is the value add that I'm bringing? And you can't just say, well, I'm the table. Okay, well, nobody wants to hear that shit because he's got a lot of options, a lot of childless women. He can go start his own family. Why the fuck should he pick you? I know you think you're special, but why should he pick you over all the other options that he has, especially if he's wealthy, charming, charismatic, hung like a mule? Why should he pick you? What's the value add? That's what's not being asked. And what would you want for your son? And that's what we can't skate around, ladies. What would you want for your son?
The dreaded, what would you want for your son conversation, ladies? Oh man, this conversation is like, I guess how some of y'all look at single moms, like low hanging fruit, right? I say, yeah, I say that because that's what y'all sound like. Y'all sound like these women are low hanging fruit. Like, oh my God, they have all these other issues, as if women who are not single moms or have their own fucking issues. So I think a man who respects himself, who values himself in any way, shape, or form, is going to find a woman that meets or edifies or reflects his value in himself, right? Full stop. And sometimes that might come with a woman in tow. Sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean? I think for me, like, because we've had this conversation before about single moms. I don't want to relitigate it. Me personally, I would date a single mom. I mean, obviously, just like my actual wife, she'd have to be remarkable. Duh. So could I be out here and find a remarkable woman who happens to be a single mom? Hell, fuck yeah. That's the thing that also gets me too sometimes
Absolutely.
about this high value man conversation, because I feel like I'm going to bring that value regardless of where I go. Anybody I fuck with is going to have a certain level of value, and shit, maybe my value will raise their value. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think of being high value as a scarce thing either, necessarily. I don't see that as bringing down my value. I think a lot of times, I'll speak for me. I'm not saying I'm a high value man, but I have a lot of confidence in myself and what I can do. And whatever I touch, I feel like I can turn to something. So I don't know. I don't know that I'd have the fear to not want to do these things because I'd be afraid of all these other factors. No, so maybe I'm speaking from a privileged place of feeling like I could find somebody. But in truth, like, dog, like there's a lot of, really great women out here. Men have, I think, larger issues than just her having a child. Like, you can find a single woman who looks good, but was she only with you for your money? You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, oh my God, then you have the kid with her, and she definitely locked in. So yeah, you got the brand new model, but on the back end, it looks like you end up paying more for it, right? Some way, shape, or form. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at a situation and be able to say, you know what? Like, I can see value here. I just think that honestly, you can be high value in business, but not have a clue what you're doing in dating. And I think that's unfortunately what's happening for a lot of people, right? You'll see these basketball players who have all the value in the world monetarily, but look at the women they're dating. So somehow you guys think that somehow the correlation between making money and being high value means you have good discernment. It doesn't seem to be the case, right? Some of these brothers probably could benefit from a woman who's stable, who's showing leadership qualities, who's going to make sure he's good, make sure he's going to be held responsible, right? Go to the doctor, who's not trying to be out at the club all the goddamn time, that kind of thing, not be on Instagram. You know what I mean? So I get it. And niggas going to like what they like. But I just do think that the thing that bothered me the most about the clip was the shaming of it all. Just because What we don't want to talk about is a lot of our mamas were pieces of shit. I hate to be honest with y'all, but a lot of our mamas were pieces of shit. Dead ass. No, because they were trying to make it seem like, oh, you was raised by a single mom. He probably didn't have a good experience. He saw how hard she had to work. She was not home a lot. Maybe he had to fend for himself. Maybe he was the one taking care of him and his siblings, right? So from his vantage point, as a kid who deserved to be cared for, nurtured, and loved, he didn't have those things. And so you think him growing up and wondering, yes, he made it out, right? You expect him to go back to that? And it's not good enough that he can express his preference. Y'all want to shame him to make it seem like it was the black women, including, I think her name was Egypt Sharad. She was the host of the show at the time. So I'm like, oh, your mom was this? Who gives a fuck? I get that many of us are attracted to our parents. I get that's a part of a thing. But if my mama was a piece of shit, then I wouldn't want to get married to somebody like her either. And that goes so unspoken because people automatically assume, oh, you don't love your mother. Last week, God bless Natalie, right? But she mentioned Stephen A. didn't like his mom. Okay, I get that because it's an easy win. But it has nothing to do with your position sometimes, right? But sometimes, guess what? You don't like your mama. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it comes out in how you date sometimes. So I don't know, man. I think, I get the whole single mom thing. I'm not mad at brothers for making a good choice. If you worked hard and put yourself in a position, you should have a right to choose what you want to choose 1,000%. Conversely, I also don't think that people should shame you for those choices. But at the same time, as a man who has some confidence about himself, sometimes when I hear some of y'all talk about this topic, it just makes me wonder what confidence then, right? Because just like you could be a captain of industry and go against all odds, right? The chances of you building a business, chances of you making a 6-figure salary, the chance of you doing X, Y, and Z is already infinitesimally small, but you don't doubt that. But the chances of you going out there and finding a good quality woman, despite whatever characteristics, oh my God, be damned. Can't do that one, right? Ooh, it's hard, right? Fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? If y'all need some help in being able to discern, holler at your boy, man, because there's way too many good women out here. You know what I'm saying? If my wife will let me have more of them, get the fuck out of here. I be hoarding them shits because y'all niggas don't deserve them. I mean, we talking, but I ain't really, but y'all get what I'm saying. There's way too many good women out here, single mother and all. You know what I'm saying? We only got one kid, you know what I mean? There'll be 3 of us, you know what I mean? With 2 kids, come on, man, we can make it work. You know what I'm saying? We build a community over here.
I'm how to push back on that.
Jay, push back there.
Because you gave all this, you say, oh, you can find a woman, who doesn't have a kid, and you marry her, and y'all have a kid together, and then she get all these problems. It's true. Anybody can have problems, but the added difficulty of navigating multiple relationships at one time while you're trying to build a future together cannot be overlooked, and it should not be dismissed.
I'm not overlooking it.
That's all I'm saying. And
I'm acknowledging it's harder.
Okay,
I can acknowledge it's harder if she has a kid, but but all your examples was like, oh, it was negative. There was not one scenario where there's a good relationship with the father, they're co-parenting, the child is well-behaved. You painted like the worst scenario, and every time we talk about single moms, we act like those are the only ones that fucking exist. And that's not true.
Okay. All right, listen. My job was not to sell the single moms to anybody. Single moms are great. Okay, my job is, as I see it tonight, is to give you some heads up on some warning signs. You know what I mean? Some math you might want to do before you jump out in that pool. Listen, I married a single mom, right? Matter of fact, I married 2. I divorced one of them, so I tell you, I'm 50-50 right now for it. But anyway, my point here is...
You're a repeat customer is what you're saying.
And I'm telling you from my experience...
Another reframe.
What some problems are. That's all I'm saying. I'm sharing with you what some problems are. Now you can take that people out there in TV land or whatever and do whatever you want to do with that. I'm just giving you some game for what I've seen with other people. And I'm saying there's some extra difficulty added when she is a single mom as opposed to just a single woman. And if you're down for that and you got time for that, then go for it. If you don't have time for that or you don't want to make time for that, then please do not slow your roll for that, because that's probably that is not for you. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
I hear you, Jay, but all I'm also saying is there are people who are having a different experience with single moms too. And every time the conversation comes up, it just seems to be like, oh, it either got to be forcing the dude to do it and it got to be the worst situation ever. That's not fucking true. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's been plenty of high value men who've married single moms and they were happy about it. Right? This conversation makes it seem like you can't be both. You know what I mean? I agree a man can have the right, but he could also, choose otherwise, and it may not be the worst decision ever. That's all I'm saying.